Alright, Peace and Greetings YouTubers. I said I had to do this because I just had to get this off my chest. So I wanted to talk about The People vs. OJ and just give my review of the entire series as a whole. Overall, this has probably been my favorite thing to watch all year. I didn't even realize that there were 10 episodes. I didn't realize I had been watching this for 10 weeks because it was just that addictive. It was so well put together. All three directors did a really great job. Anthony Hemingway, John Singleton, Ryan Murphy, excellent direction as far as the different episodes. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed watching this. Now, the OJ Simpson trial, I'm very familiar with. I was around when it happened, but I was so young. Like, I think I was in first grade. I was in first grade, kindergarten or first, no, probably first grade, maybe even going on second by the time the verdict came out. But, you know, it's one of those cases that you kind of followed, and every time there was a special on the news or something, you'd always watch it and everything like that. But it's just so crazy because watching that just, I don't want to say it's a nostalgic type of thing to watch, but I remember just so much of that when it happened. It was crazy. Like, I remember when the verdict came out, and it was on the news all day for like a week. It was just the only story that they talked about. It just went on and on and on, and they would have the different commentators and the experts and the this, that, and the third. But what I liked about it is that I wasn't old enough to remember the cultural divides within society as far as, you know, the issue of race and everything. Like, they did an excellent job of showcasing that within the show. Like, I was too young to remember race because when you're 5 or 6, you don't really understand race anyway. You recognize that you may look different from your neighbors, but that cultural aspect that's associated with the racial backgrounds that you come from, you don't. Everything isn't so divisive yet. You know, people don't really get into that mode where they start segregating themselves until they hit about middle school and they start realizing that they may be a little bit different from their friends culturally. So I didn't remember the racial aspect, and it was crazy because when they talked about like the LA riots and everything, I remember the LA riots, but I was even younger. Like, I was really young. I had to only be like, I couldn't have been more than like 3 or 4 years old, but I remember like family and stuff talking about it, and you know, it was, you know, a lot of my family is from LA, so, you know, it was like family conversation. So it was kind of like, and at the time I remember the most random thing. I always remember the part where like Rodney King did the whole speech about can't we all just get along, and the only reason I remember it is because I remember we were at like some family gathering house party, and everybody in the room was cussing him out because what you mean can't we all get along, what, and you know, they're slamming dice and cards on tables and laughing, this idiot, we over here defending him, he want to sit there and take their side, traitor. Like, that was what everybody was going through. So like, just watching this, it just gave me all kind of flashbacks to like everything that was going on in the early 90s. What I really enjoyed about it is that they did such a good job of showing both sides of the story and what both sides were going through as far as the prosecution, as far as the defense, what was going on with OJ, what was going on with even the family of Nicole Brown and Ron's family. Like, it was interesting seeing the dynamics. They did such a good job of contrasting because you could watch it, and even if you had a specific opinion about the case, you got such a full, in-depth visual and story of what was going on. You may have saw things differently by the time it ended, you know. I'll say this. I personally never had a full opinion on whether or not he actually did it. I do believe that he knew something about it, or he had something. I mean, he was found liable in a civil suit. I never really thought he actually committed the murder, you know, but I knew that he had something to do with it. You know, that's how I've always looked at it. But listen, by the time Marcia Clark started going through all the evidence and they started talking about I was like, Lord, OJ, I don't know, man. But then at the same time, they did such a good job of showcasing what was going on with the defense. I'm like, well, maybe he didn't do it. Well, hell, I don't know, OJ. I'm confused, man. Did you do it or did you not? I don't know. But it was really good. It was interesting. It was like Esquire, the network, was actually showing all the highlights and stuff from the trial over the past weekend. So it was kind of interesting because I watched all of that. So then when they got to this episode, I was like, they had the closing statements down, like word for word, and just everything from the visuals. I really enjoy just watching. They had the costume design was very appropriate for the night, for like what was going on in the early mid-90s. It was like just all, it was perfect. The score, I really enjoyed the music. Just the music that was being played and taking me back. Listen, by the time they got the black box and everybody at that very last episode, I said, okay, I used to get down to everybody at daycare. Like, we used to get it to that at the playground. But I really think this was such a great production. Listen, if this doesn't win every Emmy award known to man that it can possibly be nominated for, because it was just that well put together. And honestly, there's been a lot of really, really great shows, because I think American Crime with Regina King is really good. Or I'm sorry, was it American Crime Story? Something like that. The show on ABC with Regina King and all of them. That's the one about the kid and he goes shoot at the school and stuff. That was a really good one as well. The acting was excellent. Like literally every actor in this specific series nailed their part. I was fully convinced. Courtney B. Vance, literally, I was like, I swear I'm watching Johnny Cochran in real life. Let me see. Sarah Paulson was excellent as Marsha Clark. And the thing about the Marsha Clark bit, I remember, and maybe it's interesting that for people who may not be from my same demographic or background watching this, it's, you know, I've always been brought up in a way where we were always Team OJ. That's how my family was. That's how it was in my house. And with people that I grew up around, it's always been Team OJ. So somebody like a Marsha Clark, we were all like, man, I've heard. She's trying to keep us down. But it was interesting because watching this, the thing about it is they did a great job of humanizing everybody. So somebody like Marsha Clark, I had no knowledge of. The only thing I knew is what I heard the adults saying in the room when I was a kid. You know, the only thing I knew is what I heard, you know, the news and everything in the media saying. So I only heard bad things about her as a child. So watching this, it just introduced me to another whole layer. And I'm like, oh, wow, she really does have feelings. And, you know, she really is, you know, she was dealing with a lot of things on the side. And wow, that's a lot of pressure. And I really enjoyed how they were able to capture what was going on with Chris Darden. Because I have to say, to be a black man trying to prosecute OJ Simpson in the 90s probably had to be the hardest thing in the world to do. Because one, your community is like, what the hell? Really? That's what we're doing today? You know, and it came at a time where, I mean, not much has changed, but it came at a time where there was some really bad racial tension within the country. There was a huge divide, you know, with the police brutality and everything. So it was like, really, you gonna jump on that side? That would kind of be like if there was some random case right now, and then there was a black prosecutor prosecuting one of the beloved people in the black community at the time. Everybody would be real pissed. You know, that's how it looked. But I really thought they did such a great job of capturing that dynamic and just the struggle. I always enjoy that scene with Johnny Cochran and Chris Darden when they're arguing about the N-word and whether or not it should be used. That was such a classic scene. I died watching that. I thought that was the funniest scene. It's not even meant to be funny, but if you're in my headspace, you'll understand why I was laughing. And even with the jury, when they were just showcasing the transparency with what was going on with the jury, and I died at the part where they were fighting about the TV. And whether to watch Martin or Seinfeld, I was like, that's some great writing. That is hilarious. Even though it really happened, I like that is hilarious to me because in reality, those are two really extremely different, you know, groups of people being sequestered together. And now the thing about it is when you're something like a sequester, like the one they're in, where it's like you can't go anywhere, y'all only get 1 hour of TV, and y'all all gotta watch the same thing. Your newspapers, articles and stuff are already cut out of the newspapers before you get them, and you know, like. So that bit about them fighting over whether to watch Martin or Seinfeld, and they said, let's take a vote. And I'm like, y'all know all the jury is black, minus 3 people. You know ain't none of them about to vote for no Seinfeld. Like, I thought that was hilarious. But it was crazy to think about what the jury would have had to go through. Can you imagine if you're already in a bad marriage, and your marriage was already on the rocks, and now you get called for jury duty, and you're away from home for like 1.5 years? Like, that is crazy. But anyway, that was excellent. Who else? Cuba Gooding Jr. I always say Cuba, but he did excellent. His part, Courtney, Sterling K. Brown was great as Chris Darden. Dude from Friends was great as the Kardashian guy. John Travolta. I just mean like the characters, the makeup, everything was just. I was really convinced. I really felt like I was living in 1994 or 1995. I just think it was really well put together, and it's one of those cases that still bothers me because it hasn't really been solved. You know what I mean? And anytime there's some kind of special about it that comes on, I always watch it. So it's always like that case, I'll always watch something about that. I'll always watch something about TWA Flight 800. I'll always watch something about Selena Quintanillas. I'll always watch something about John Benet Ramsey. You know, there's those cases and things that you just, I get a kick out of it every time. So I can't wait to see what the next one's going to be. Apparently, I believe it's, they showed the premiere for it. It's called Atlanta. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be about, but it looks like it's going to be really good. So share your thoughts on The People vs. OJ. What did you think? Did you watch it? If you haven't watched it, you know, it's the internet. You can find it on something. And, you know, if you actually pay for your cable, like some of us do, you can stream it or on demand, whatever. But anyway, I'm out. Subscribe. Let me know what you think.